My name is Sophia. I'm 30 years old, and this is a story that compelled me to reevaluate everything about family. If you've ever felt that harmony is merely a facade, this narrative is for you. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so we can discuss this further. It was a Sunday, the house filled with laughter, the aroma of delicious food, children running around. It seemed like a scene from a movie, the perfect family. But, as ever, the beauty was only superficial, concealing old wounds and unspoken tensions. No one could have imagined that, in a matter of seconds, everything would unravel. It was a swift gesture, almost imperceptible, but to me, it was a thunderclap. My aunt, who had always been somewhat short-tempered, raised her hand and slapped my 8-year-old cousin across the face. He was playing, perhaps a bit too boisterously for her liking. The sound of the slap cut through the air, and time stood still. My grandparents, who had been laughing at a joke, continued to laugh, as if nothing had happened. But something had shifted. Their laughter now seemed hollow, almost chilling, an echo of an already false joy. The look of shock on my cousin's face was seared into my memory. His eyes, brimming with tears, revealed not only the sting of the slap, but a wound to his soul that perhaps would take years to heal. The ensuing silence was heavy, swallowing words and leaving only the sound of rapid breathing and pounding hearts. We gazed at each other, filled with anger, shame, disbelief, and fear. No one knew what to say, yet everyone sensed that something was profoundly wrong. This moment, which some might dismiss as trivial, unveiled a painful truth. The wounds of the past hadn't healed. They were merely concealed beneath layers of tradition and a facade of normalcy. The family, which appeared united, was in reality an assembly of individuals burdened by unresolved histories, pains, and grievances. The slap was not merely an act of violence against the child, it was emblematic of everything that was amiss, of all the unspoken words, of all the suppressed emotions that now erupted into a conflict no one was prepared to confront. The tension was palpable. The adults, ensnared in their own internal turmoil, were at a loss for what to do. Some attempted to justify it, stating that that's how it used to be, or that it was nothing significant. Others, more attuned, felt a knot in their throat, a mixture of rage and powerlessness. The boy, for his part, remained silent, perhaps trying to comprehend why someone he loved had inflicted such profound hurt. And my grandparents, whose laughter had become a hollow echo, suddenly seemed older, as if the reality of their errors had dawned on them instantaneously. This confrontation compels us to ponder: how far do we go for the sake of tradition? To what extent do we allow the past to dictate the present? And more importantly, how long do we tolerate love being conflated with violence, or respect devolving into mere obedience? The family ought to be a safe haven for growth, yet it can also be a battlefield where ancient wounds resurface, scarring new generations with burdens that should have been left behind. This serves as an invitation to contemplate the boundaries of respect, the paramount importance of safeguarding children, and confronting our own specters in order to forge healthier and more authentic relationships. It is a plea that instead of deriving amusement from hurtful actions, we learn to listen, to understand, and to act with love and compassion. Because ultimately, love is not about tradition or obedience, but about respect, protection, and the courage to confront our own wounds in order to heal those of others. Now, imagine you are standing before a mirror. Not just any mirror, but one that reflects not only your physical appearance, but also your emotions, your fears, your insecurities. When we gaze into this mirror, we behold not only the child who received the slap, but also the aunt who delivered it, the grandparents who laughed, and even yourself with all your wounds and scars. This mirror prompts a profound introspection. To what extent do our own histories and traumas dictate our actions and reactions? Each of us bears an emotional burden that has shaped who we are. The aunt who delivered the slap, for instance, may have grown up in an environment where harshness was perceived as a sign of affection, where violence was a method of discipline. She might have been taught that to fulfill the role of a good aunt, she needed to behave in that way, even if it went against her true feelings. My grandparents, in turn, may have laughed not because they found it amusing, but because they were at a loss for how to react, trapped by archaic customs they had never questioned. And you? When you encounter similar situations, how do you react? Are your responses genuine or merely a reflection of ingrained past patterns? Frequently, we operate on autopilot, fearing to confront our own wounds, unwilling to admit that we are wounded ourselves. But for genuine transformation, we need to allow ourselves introspection, acknowledge our own shortcomings, and understand how they influence our relationships. Consider a tree. Its roots delve deep in our intricate, unseen, yet supremely vital for its existence. Similarly, we possess emotional roots stemming from our past experiences, memories, and sorrows. When we understand our roots, recognizing our origins and the formative impact they've had on us, we can embark on a journey of healthier, more conscious growth.
Now, contemplate how such understanding can transform your relationships. When you perceive that the aunt who resorted to physical discipline is acting out of her own unaddressed wounds, you can begin to view her not merely as an aggressor, but as someone equally in need of healing. This does not, by any means, condone her actions, yet it creates room for empathy and for her potential transformation. Similarly, when my grandparents acknowledged that their laughter served as a coping mechanism to evade pain, they can begin to confront their own emotions and forge more authentic relationships. However, for this to transpire, courage is indispensable. Courage to introspect, to confront our shadow selves, and to behave differently. The fortitude to assert no when necessary, to establish healthy boundaries, and to shield children from practices or patterns that no longer serve their well-being. The bravery to love consciously, to prioritize respect and affection over unexamined adherence to tradition. And you, are you prepared for this transformative journey? Are you willing to delve inward, acknowledge your own foundational roots, and alter your course of action? Recall, profound change originates within each individual. When we allow ourselves to evolve, when we facilitate the healing of our own wounds, we create an opening for others to embark on their own transformative paths. And it is thus, incrementally, that we cultivate relationships marked by greater health, authenticity, and profound affection.
Now envision yourself within a garden. Not merely an ordinary garden, but one where every plant, every blossom, every tree possesses its distinct narrative and unique trajectory of growth. Some blossoms exhibit delicacy, others resilience. Some trees stand tall, others remain modest. Yet each, in its own manner, contributes to the garden's enhanced beauty and overarching harmony. Analogous to this garden, our familial relationships are comprised of unique individuals, each possessing distinct characteristics, personal histories, and inherent dispositions. When an unforeseen gesture, such as the ant's physical rebuke, manifests within this garden, it may initially appear to mar its entirety. However, upon closer inspection, one discerns that this gesture is merely a manifestation of something more profound, an underlying dynamic within the family's relational fabric. The ant, for instance, might have acted out of frustration, fear, or even from a love she was unable to articulate effectively. She may have grown up in an environment where strictness was perceived as a form of care, and consequently, she replicated this behavior unconsciously. But what if you were the recipient of that blow? how would you react? Would you be able to comprehend the underlying rationale for the action, or would you merely experience the pain? Oftentimes, when we experience injury or offense, our initial impulse is to defend ourselves, withdraw, or even retaliate. However, upon reflection, we might realize that this reaction is merely a habitual response, an automatic reaction that prevents us from perceiving the situation from a broader perspective. Consider a river. It flows ceaselessly, adapting to the terrain, circumventing obstacles, perpetually in motion. When we encounter adversity, we can choose to emulate this river, to flow, adapt, and discover alternative paths. Instead of remaining fixated on the pain of the slap, we can inquire, what is the underlying message of this gesture? What is it attempting to communicate to me? And more importantly, how can we leverage this experience for personal growth and resilience? Now, reflect on how this perspective can transform your relationships. When you are able to perceive beyond the mere action, when you grasp the underlying motivation and the individual's intention, you open avenues for empathy and comprehension. This does not imply that you must condone or validate the person's actions, but rather that you can opt to respond in a more conscious and compassionate manner. You might articulate, "I comprehend your frustration, but this approach is unproductive. Let us engage in dialogue to find a mutually agreeable solution." However, what if the individual who caused you harm is unwilling to change? What if they persist in their detrimental behavior, even after you have articulated your feelings and established boundaries? In such circumstances, it is paramount to recall your right to self-protection and to prioritize your own well-being. You may choose to distance yourself, reinforce boundaries, or even seek external assistance. Remember, self-love is not synonymous with selfishness. It forms the bedrock of healthy and balanced relationships. Another crucial consideration is how this unforeseen gesture might impact not only the child who experienced the blow, but also other family members. My grandparents, for instance, might feel a sense of culpability for their inaction, or for having reacted inappropriately with laughter. They might question whether their actions were appropriate, whether they fulfilled their roles as good parents and grandparents. And you, as a constituent member of this family, might find yourself torn between loyalty and the imperative to safeguard the child. At such junctures, it's paramount to remember that each of us bears responsibility for our actions and reactions. While you cannot dictate others' behavior, you retain agency over your own responses. You have the capacity to exemplify love, compassion, and respect, thereby demonstrating to others the existence of alternative, healthier approaches to conflict resolution. You can embody the voice that illuminates darkness, fostering an environment conducive to healing and transformation. Thus, when confronted with unforeseen actions that strain familial ties, bear in mind that each individual plays a distinct role. We are at liberty to choose whether to emulate a garden, embracing the diversity and intricate nature of relationships, or a river, flowing and adapting seamlessly. We may opt to respond with affection and benevolence, or to establish boundaries and safeguard our well-being. Crucially, however, remember that you are not isolated. You are an integral part of an intricate web of relationships, and each of us possesses the capacity to modify and enhance this interconnectedness. Now, envision yourself within a theater, observing a dramatic portrayal of a family's life. The lights dim and the scene commences. You observe the characters conversing, laughing, quarreling, and then, abruptly, an unforeseen action shatters the prevailing harmony. This seemingly minor gesture, in fact, uncovers profound and intricate underlying complexities that had previously remained concealed. Theater serves as a profound reflection of life, with each character embodying an aspect of our collective human experience. The aunt who delivered the slap, for instance, might symbolize suppressed rage, the culmination of years of unexpressed frustration. She may have matured in an environment where emotional expression was stifled, leading her to believe that impulsive action was the sole means of being acknowledged. And, akin to the theatrical stage, where every character possesses a unique backstory, each family member carries an emotional burden that profoundly influences their actions and reactions. Now reflect on how this phenomenon manifests in your own life. When confronted with challenging circumstances, what is your typical reaction? Do you respond impulsively, mirroring the ant's actions, or are you able to pause and engage in thoughtful consideration beforehand? Frequently, our responses are automatic, conditioned by past experiences and ingrained behavioral patterns. However, just as characters evolve and transform within a theatrical narrative, we too possess the capacity to modify our responses and cultivate novel, more constructive approaches. Recall a theatrical production you have witnessed. Consider how the characters underwent transformation throughout the narrative, and how their actions and dialogues were profoundly shaped by their cumulative experiences. Now, apply this very concept to your personal life. Every interaction you engage in, every conflict you confront, presents an opportunity for growth and evolution. You have the prerogative to choose whether to respond with compassion and affection or to perpetuate outdated patterns that no longer serve your well-being. Another crucial aspect is the profound impact of these familial dynamics on children. For instance, the child who was subjected to a slap might internalize the belief that physical aggression is an acceptable means of conflict resolution. He might also assimilate the notion that affection is conditional on specific behaviors, and that his inherent worth is contingent upon conforming to others' expectations. And, akin to a theatrical production, where every character subtly alters the narrative, every family member holds the potential to profoundly influence a child's future. Now, envision yourself as the director of this particular drama. You possess the agency to guide the characters, fostering the development of a healthier, more fulfilling narrative. How would you approach this? One might commence by establishing clear boundaries and articulating one's needs and expectations. You could opt to respond with compassion and understanding even when confronted with hurtful actions from others. And crucially, you could serve as an embodiment of unconditional love, demonstrating to others the possibility of cultivating relationships rooted in mutual respect and acceptance. But for this to truly materialize, one must also be prepared to confront their own inherent imperfections. Just as in a theatrical production, where every character possesses inherent flaws, each of us harbors fears and insecurities that frequently dictate our actions. When one manages to acknowledge and accept their own shortcomings, it creates an opening for profound healing and transformative change. One can then begin to perceive others not as threats, but rather as valuable opportunities for personal growth and mutual amelioration. Now, consider a pivotal scene within this drama. Envision yourself on stage, facing the audience, poised to make a decision that could irrevocably alter the narrative. You could act impulsively, reiterating antiquated patterns that ultimately yield only suffering. Alternatively, one could pause, take a deep breath, and deliberately choose a response more congruent with their deeply held convictions. This choice, seemingly minor in its immediate scope, possesses the potential to transform not only your own life, but also the lives of those within your immediate sphere of influence.
Therefore, when confronted with unexpected manifestations that test the very fabric of familial bonds, remember that each of us holds a distinct and impactful role. We can choose to behave as mere characters in a predetermined play, reacting reflexively, or we can assume the mantle of director for our own narrative, forging healthier and more fulfilling pathways. Remember that every conversation represents an invaluable opportunity for growth and transformation, and that every choice you make possesses the profound capacity to alter not only your own trajectory, but also the lives of those you cherish. As we delve deeper into this journey of self-reflection and introspection, the intricate and profound nature of our familial connections becomes increasingly apparent. Every gesture, every utterance, every silence carries a weight that transcends the immediate moment, reverberating through time and ultimately shaping our very essence. Akin to a river that traverses diverse landscapes, our family conversations ebb and flow, adapt,
and metamorphose, yet invariably bear the indelible imprints of past events. Contemplating this, one observes how ancient, often unhealed wounds subtly manifest as unexpected gestures and seemingly spontaneous reactions. These wounds, like the deep-seated roots of an ancient tree, exert an unconscious influence and govern our actions, even unbeknownst to us. It is precisely in this recognition that we discover the pathway to transformation. When we allow ourselves to transcend superficial appearances, venturing to explore the profound depths of our emotional landscape and interpersonal dialogues, we pave the way for healing and renewal. Within this process, it is crucial to remember that each of us is the protagonist of our own narrative, yet we also co-author the stories of those in our vicinity. Our choices, words, and actions possess the power to reshape not only our own trajectory, but also the future of our loved ones. It is through this awareness that we summon the fortitude to act with compassion, establish healthy boundaries, and cultivate relationships founded on unconditional respect and acceptance. As we draw closer to the conclusion of this discourse, one might sense the pieces of the puzzle beginning to coalesce, revealing a more expansive and profound tapestry. Every insight gained, every revelation, every moment of clarity fosters a deeper understanding of ourselves and our inherent interconnectedness with others. It is this comprehension that enables us to muster the courage to confront our shadow selves, embrace our vulnerabilities, and embark on a path of love and healing. Like a garden burgeoning into bloom after a protracted winter, our relationships can undergo profound transformation and renewal. It is within this transformative process that we discover the inherent beauty and strength of genuine human connection. When we allow ourselves vulnerability and embrace growth and self-improvement, we create an environment conducive to the purest and most authentic blossoming of love. It is in this love that we discover true peace, profound healing, and genuine happiness. Therefore, as we approach the culmination of this journey, recollect that every stride taken, every thought contemplated, and every insight gleaned has contributed to your enhanced self-understanding and comprehension of the relationships that encompass you. It is through this profound understanding that you unearth the fortitude to persevere, evolve, and love more consciously and authentically. For ultimately, it is in this love that we discover the most profound essence of life and human connection. As we reach the culmination of this journey, we feel the profound weight of all we have collectively contemplated. Every word, every shared insight, and every moment of introspection has led us deeper into understanding the intricate dynamics of our familial systems. And now, in retrospect, we recognize that the true work commences here, in the present moment, beckoning us to act with heightened consciousness and compassion. The unexpected gesture that tested familial bonds was not merely an isolated incident, but a profound reflection of the underlying complexities beneath the surface. It served as an imperative to look beyond superficialities, to discern unhealed wounds, deeply buried fears, and recurrent intergenerational patterns. And in doing so, we uncovered that genuine healing transcends mere blame or justification, residing instead in profound understanding and transformative action. It is upon internalizing this truth that we unearth the fortitude to act divergently, to consciously choose a path of love and respect even when formidable forces seem to impede our progress.
Now, as you close your eyes and take a deep, centering breath, envision yourself in an expansive, open field, beneath an infinite sky. Feel the wind upon your face, carrying the promise of renewal and profound hope.
This field serves as a potent symbol of the boundless possibilities that lie before you, of all the choices yet to unfold. And, akin to the wind, you possess the agency to consciously alter your own trajectory, to cultivate genuinely healthy and fulfilling relationships. Remember that every deliberate step you take, every word you utter, and every gesture you make possesses the power to transform not only your own life, but also the lives of those you cherish. You are undeniably the protagonist of your own unfolding narrative, yet you simultaneously contribute to shaping the stories of those within your orbit. And it is upon internalizing this profound truth that you unearth the courage to act with profound tenderness, to establish healthy boundaries, and to cultivate relationships predicated on unconditional respect and acceptance. Therefore, as you continue your deeply personal journey, remember that authentic love transcends mere tradition or blind obedience. Rather, it is predicated on profound respect, unwavering protection, and the courageous introspection required to confront our own imperfections, thereby enabling us to facilitate the healing of others. It is a love that beckons us to embrace vulnerability, to embody authenticity, to truly be our unvarnished selves, both internally and in our interactions with those closest to us. And it is within the embrace of this profound love that we unearth genuine peace, profound healing, and authentic happiness. May this discourse serve as an enduring beacon, illuminating your path and guiding you towards more profound, more meaningful, and exquisitely love-filled relationships. May you find the strength to confront the challenges that emerge, to foster personal growth and transformation, and to embrace the inherent beauty and intricate complexity of human connection. And may you ultimately discover that genuine love originates from within, stemming from self-acceptance and a conscious, authentic commitment to loving. The true transformative practice commences at this very moment, as you elect to act with love, compassion, and profound respect. It is precisely then that you unearth the most salient essence of both life itself and the profound significance of human interconnection. May this journey persist in inspiring you towards continuous growth, profound transformation, and a more profound and significant expression of love. And with each progressive step you take, may you be reminded that you are never isolated, but rather an integral part of an intricate tapestry of relationships that transcends visible boundaries, and that, united, we possess the capacity to cultivate a world where love, compassion, and respect serve as the fundamental cornerstone of all our actions. May this discourse itself serve as an earnest invitation for you to persist in exploration, personal growth, and profound transformation. May you summon the courage to confront your own inherent imperfections and to embrace the intricate beauty and profound complexity of existence itself. And may you ultimately discern that authentic love is not solely manifest in grandiose gestures, but rather in the subtle yet profound moments of genuine connection, empathetic understanding, and unconditional acceptance. May you attain the profound peace, holistic healing, and intrinsic happiness you inherently merit, and may you radiate this luminosity to those within your immediate sphere. For ultimately, it is within this very love that we unearth the quintessential essence of both existence and the profound significance of human interconnection. Should this narrative resonate with you, please consider expressing your appreciation, disseminating it widely, and subscribing to the channel for access to further discourses of this transformative nature.